Welcome to Not Factory Approved, the site where I attempt to show you many different ongoing projects. Some are worth doing, some are not. Some are successes, and some are not. Hopefully I can share with you experience that I've gained over the years, and I'm older than I look or act, and that this experience might be valuable in helping you learn when to take on projects and when not to. I've gained a wide variety of experience over the years, as I've rarely been afraid to take on a project that others would simply say that is not worth it. Even when those have been failures, I've gained something through the process. And some of the projects you may just wonder about my sanity, but it's enjoyable. So hopefully you find this helpful. Hopefully it, if nothing else, teaches you when to quit. And otherwise, sometimes you might just see a project that comes from the ashes of despair and rises like a phoenix to be something useful once again. So hopefully you find this site helpful and enjoyable, and stay tuned. Thank you. And here is the upstairs living area. It's 1,200 square feet, just like the shop. With the length of the room, this doesn't work out perfectly for all the tiles. So what I have to do is start at this end and work backwards. So I'm going to attempt to put this completely underneath the door. I've measured it 4 inches for this gap here, and then inside it's 9 1/8. We'll see how that goes. After I cut this out, then I can measure backwards and find out exactly how short a piece I need to make this work out perfectly lengthwise. The trick will be getting this in to this groove and meshed, locked into the previous tile, since I have to work from the left to the right. When I trimmed this piece, I had a bit of a bump here, which was stopping it sitting properly by the door. And it also had a gap that was filled with spray foam insulation. So I used this edge, which is fairly durable, to scrape out the insulation. This edge can be trimmed with a lino knife, a utility knife, can be clipped off with a side cutter, a saw, or a plane. Any of those tools work quite well. To work backwards, I just ensure that the lines are lined up and then move the tiles backwards, laying them out edge to edge until I come to the right distance from the wall. And I'll measure that. Okay, the tricky part here now, since it has to fit under the edge of the door, is to drive this together. So I've lifted this as much as I dare while still keeping it latched or inserted into this groove. And now I will try to drive this lip underneath using this tapping bar and a rubber mallet. I've actually found there's a better way to do it than what I was trying to do in the last frame, and that's to slide it in, make sure the grooves are clear, and then put the piece in, slide it in perfectly, and attach it. My apologies for having to do some of this after the fact, but the SD card quit and I continue to find videos that don't exist. So most of the ones that I shot concerning the floor aren't with us anymore. So this is after the floor has been laid, so there's some trickiness to it. I started here where the nose piece is for the stairs, That is especially bent with heat at great expense. So that has to go in first because it can't be put in later. So that was the very first piece I laid. Then I put the pieces back until I got close to the edge here, measured it. Measured then from the back end here behind the recycling, and that is where I started with the kitchen floor, making the room, cutting them appropriately for the cabinets. And after I laid them and ran all the way back to here, I realized I was 1.25 inches out. So I had to go back and add 1.25 inches to the first pieces, and then it worked out. Everything came out forward, matched up perfectly with the stairs, and then I could lay the rest of the floor. So starting at the left, after I'd done the kitchen, then started in the hallway and ran them all the way down the hallway. I also did the bathroom opposite, or 90 degrees, because we didn't want it the same direction. Wanted to accentuate the length of the bathroom more than trying to make it look wider, and just thought it would look better if the tiles ran down the length of the bathroom. So we did that, and then I got some T trim and put that in the gap and glued it down, so I didn't want to nail it. Didn't want any nails showing. So far it's doing fine. I used Gorilla Glue to glue it down. And then once the hallway was done, then everything else could be spliced into it. So the bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, all run in the same direction. The office. And then finished off the living room, taking it to the walls. And then the final piece has to be cut lengthwise to fit in, and then the baseboard holds it down. So the floor is not cemented in any way. It does have some dips here and there. It has to be quite level. So it's not very obvious, and the floor does click a little bit here and there, but nothing serious. So it was going to cost $2,500 for someone to come in and lay this floor, which seemed to me to be a bit ridiculous. Since there's no glue, all you're doing is cutting tiles, splicing them in with their grooves and their channels, their locking channel, and then tapping them down flat. One thing to watch is that the tiles have to be perfectly flat at the joints. You shouldn't be able to feel anything. If you can feel something, then it hasn't matched properly, and it will lift loose later.